didn't even get to cross.
Indu formed a massive energy fist from his chi, aimed at crushing and annihilating his enemies, directing it towards the young man. The fist rushed towards Wei Chun, and when it was very close, the young man easily dodged the blow. Clumps of earth and small stones flew from the point where the blow landed. If the hero had stayed there, significant damage could have been inflicted. Simultaneously with the teacher, Black Moon joined the battle. He transformed air into ice and directed icy needles at his target. But the hero repelled the man's attack, shattering all the ice with a single punch. Tiny ice particles swirled around the hero. Despite neutralizing the main threat, something still unsettled Wei Chun. Small fragments settling on his body began to burn the young man with icy cold. He looked in astonishment at his hand, already covered with these ice shards. Black Moon unpleasantly chuckled. He enjoyed the fact that the opponent was surprised and careless. But this was just the beginning of what the man intended to subject the hero to. Suddenly, icy sharp spikes began to shoot up from the ground towards Wei Chun, threatening to pierce anything in their path. Remembering his previous experience, the young man decided not to destroy the stalagmites and jumped up, avoiding the strike. At the same time, Wit Moon activated. The man launched his huge iron ball on a chain towards the opponent. But Wei Chun easily dodged this attack, much to the surprise of his enemies. Indu was furious and spat in anger. The three of them attacked the young man, but he had yet to suffer any significant damage and was able to retaliate. Black Moon took careful aim and launched one icy arrow after another at the hero. Wei Chun skillfully evaded the attacks of his opponents, jumping in the air between the deadly bursts of energy. He seized the moment to attack one of Indu's disciples. It was necessary to neutralize them one by one. The young man chose Black Moon, as he seemed to have gone too far with his attacking ice shards. Wit Moon saw that the young man was distracted by his comrade and didn't miss the opportunity to attack him from behind. Just as Wei Chun brought his fist close to Black Moon's face, a heavy metal ball hung on his right hand, hindering him from completing the blow. The chain from the ball coiled around the young man's wrist and heated up to a red color, burning through the fabric of the hero's clothes. Wit Moon hurried to pull his prey towards him, tightening the chain. Wei Chun was abruptly pulled backward. The young man fell on his back, and the chain dragged him across the ground towards its owner. Indu thunderously announced to the surroundings that now the lad wouldn't escape. It was the end of his evasions. The man activated his gigantic fist again and aimed it towards the hero to finish the struggle. The giant palm covered the spot where Wei Chun stood. After the strike, the earth trembled, and cracks spread across the ground. The master's student smirked. Despite the young man's agility and talent, he met such a pompous end. However, Black Moon was the first to recover. He looked in astonishment at the attack and whispered that such a thing simply couldn't be. In the place where the strike had recently occurred, Wei Chun stood whole and unharmed, as if the attack had never happened. The opponents were astonished at how the young man could withstand such a powerful attack. The master was indeed a mighty warrior, and few could compete with him on equal terms. Wei Chun didn't give the enemies time to comprehend what was happening and continued to attack Black Moon. The man tried to defend himself from the flying projectile by creating an icy structure, building it in front of him like a shield. The ball struck the ice structure and rebounded loudly, flying back to its owner. Black Moon breathed a sigh of relief. Thanks to his icy figure, Wei Chun wouldn't be able to attack him so easily. There was a barrier. The hero merely smiled in response to the opponent's assumption and launched another ball at him. The man openly began to mock him, considering the lad a fool since he didn't learn anything from his failures. Black Moon was confident that iron balls couldn't penetrate his defense. White Chun made a few finger movements in the air. No one understood what it was until the ball flew close. Suddenly, its trajectory changed, and the ball bypassed the opponent's icy block, heading straight for the man. Thus, Indu lost another disciple. Black Moon perished due to his carelessness and overconfidence. White Moon stared in shock as his comrade's body fell to the ground, struck by the hero's unconventional weapon. White Chun breathed a sigh of relief. There were still 2 opponents left, not many, but not few either. The hero's hand still tingled with the sensation of icy needles, and he deliberately heated his balls to bring his hand back to normal. White Moon decided to launch an attack, sending his giant ball on a chain towards the young man. However, the man missed. His strike created a lot of dust and noise but did not harm the opponent. The agility of the hero irritated the disciple, and he made another attempt to reach him with his weapon at least one more time. The Murim travelers discussed the battle. The junior couldn't understand White Chun's tactics. He kept evading attacks and defending himself. The old man in the hat explained that this was how the young man tested his opponent's endurance and prepared for the final blow that would decide the outcome of the battle for that person. Indu looked at the young man and saw not a youth but a monster who had killed almost all of his disciples, whom the man had cared for, nurtured, and trained diligently. He saw that the youthful face was just a mask. Beneath it was probably a great master who had practiced and perfected his martial arts for not just a century. Now the man understood that this clearing could be his last refuge because White Chun was incredibly powerful. But he didn't want to surrender prematurely. He intended to try his entire arsenal of techniques and, in the best case, take the opponent down with him. Indu concentrated his energy and swung a massive fist towards the young man. The man used the maximum amount of his chi to deal damage to the hero and prevent him from destroying his last disciple. The Murim reconnaissance commander assessed the force with which Indu attacked his enemy. It was indeed the most powerful blow in this battle. White Chun saw the transforming hand coming towards him. The spectacle was stunning, but there was no time to hesitate. At the last moment, the young man managed to leap away from the point where the hand struck, but it didn't stop there. Many small hands began to form from this hand, eager to attack the opponent. The travelers were amazed by the scene. They had never seen such a trick before. The hand with additional appendages reached towards the hero. It was frightening and repulsive because the extra hands resembled mutated protrusions of strange shapes. Each of the appendages wanted to grab the opponent, and the attempts of 2 of them were successful, fixing the hero's hands. In anticipation of victory, Indu shook his fists. He had finally managed to catch this impudent little fellow. The man intended to teach the young man a lesson before destroying him. White Chun tried to break free from the grip, but the force holding him was quite powerful and resisted the tricks of the young man. Seeing that the opponent couldn't move, White Moon decided that it was time to attack and swung his chain. White Chun, held by Indu's force, managed to jump to the level of the opponent's flying ball and kicked it with his foot back at the man. The ball flew back to its owner with tremendous force. White Moon didn't understand what happened and just watched as his weapon flew straight at him. The man didn't even have time to dodge. The ball grazed half of White Moon's head, and he lost his balance. The travelers anticipated the outcome of the battle. They didn't expect such agility from a man who was practically bound. But White Moon seemed immortal. He rose and, despite his injury, took a fighting stance. The travelers realized that White Moon was not entirely human. White Chun's attack had only caused minor damage to the warrior. White Moon's head quickly began to regenerate, healing the bruised area. The monster hissed that White Chun's skill level was insufficient to defeat him, the most talented of Indu's disciples. The travelers were in shock. they would definitely not want to encounter such a monster somewhere and were relieved that they were not participating in the battle. With Moon fully recovered, considering the magic he applied for immortality, the man could turn out to be invincible. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave comments to help the new video come out as soon as possible. Have a great day.
Didn't even get to browse.